Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on the day after the Super Bowl, a day that should be a national holiday, no question about it. But look, the Chiefs, they are a dynasty led by the greatest quarterback of all time, in my opinion. 3 championships in 5 years, back-to-back rings for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes, he's 28 years old. He has 3 titles, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 league MVPs. We will talk about him, his performance, what he means to the league, what his legacy is moving forward. But everyone is going to tell you about Patrick Mahomes this morning. I want to talk about some of the other stuff first. Trent McDuffie, Chiefs corner. I mean, the job he was doing in man coverage against some of the talent that the San Francisco 49ers have, the skill position talent. I mean, manning up against Deebo Samuel. Obviously, Deebo dealt with injury in this football game, but Trent McDuffie was unbelievable, and he's been unbelievable all year. This was a guy who I thought was an obvious early to mid first round pick when he came out a couple years ago. The Chiefs nabbed him up, and it was a fantastic pick by them. He has been money for them. So good in man coverage, and that allows Spags to do so much defensively. Talk about Chris Jones, what he allows you to do as a defensive coordinator as well. One of the best players on the planet, bar none, regardless of position. Chris Jones makes a massive impact for that defense, and his ability to line up on the interior, to go beat your tackles. I mean, he's incredible. 29 years old, and he might be like the most fit 310-pound human on the planet, right? He's incredible. George Karlaftis, relentless out of Purdue. Had a pretty good rookie year last year, but and hasn't been like a dominant pass rusher in terms of pass rush win rate or anything like that. But this guy is relentless. He is such a hard worker. He gets after it every single play, and he doesn't quit till the job is done. And I think that he's a big part of this Chiefs run in 2023. I really do. And again, I mentioned Spags, Steve Spagnuolo, hell of a game plan. I know I've heard Chiefs fans, little backstory, in-laws are big Chiefs fans. I've heard Chiefs fans talk about, maybe wanting to get rid of Spags at times, which is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. He is an amazing defensive coordinator. And especially once you get into the postseason, the things he can do, because he's seen it all. He's been doing this forever. No aspirations at this point really of being a head coach, I don't think. Who knows? I mean, obviously, most people do kind of want to get back to the top, have one of those 32 jobs. But Steve Spagnuolo, as a defensive coordinator, has been truly special. Not just in Kansas City, too. I mean, he's been an awesome defensive coordinator for a really long time. He's a game plan guy, and he'll throw this at you and then switch it up next drive, next quarter. And he just has so many pieces to work with. They have drafted so well in Kansas City over the last few years. And then not only the drafts, like the minor free agent contracts that they did even this year, like Drew Tranquil, Mike Edwards. These guys make plays. And give San Francisco a lot of credit, too. They deserve a lot of credit. Their defensive game plan was money early on. It was really giving Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense a tough time, but of course they figured it out. Kudos to Steve Wilkes. He was doing a fantastic job with a defense that had not performed very well in the postseason. They got back on track against one of the best offenses you'll ever see in terms of the play caller, the quarterback, some of the skill position talent with Travis Kelce, obviously, and a very good offensive line despite being injured. Christian McCaffrey, so tough. For a guy that's not the biggest running back on the planet, he runs so hard. And minus that fumble, obviously, he was money for them. Juwan Jennings, I mean, that guy could have been MVP if they won that football game. Threw a touchdown pass, caught a touchdown pass, was making big plays for them. He's been a fantastic blocker, just kind of nuts and bolts player his whole career for them. Credit to Fred Warner. The job he was doing in this game before the Chiefs really started figuring out the man coverage looks. And going one-on-one with Travis Kelce fade route, for the game. Fred Warner is such an awesome player. And he's not just a coverage guy. Unbelievable coming downhill as well. He will absolutely hit you, and you're going to feel it, right? When you're talking about Fred Warner. But in the end, the MVS touchdown, the Hardman touchdown, those were just, we have the plays. We know what we can get to against what you're doing. MVS was wide open in the end zone, tried to drop it. Hardman was wide open. And you've seen that play, variations of that play. Saw one last year in the Super Bowl from them against Philly. Obviously, you've seen the Jaguars do that with Jamal Agnew. That's Andy Reid. The RPOs, the picks against man coverage to get guys open, they figured it out. And they had the guys to get the job done. Patrick Money Mahomes, he is the GOAT for me. Some of those gutsy runs, some of those throws, the killer instinct, the figuring it out throughout the game along with Andy Reid. It was not going well for that offense early on. But again, they figured out how to beat some of these concepts, some of these man coverage looks. And, 49ers, they played an aggressive game on defense. They called it aggressively. They played it aggressively. And kudos to them for doing that, trying that. They did a pretty good job for a lot of the game. But Patrick Mahomes, man. Patrick Mahomes. How do the 49ers, how does Kyle Shanahan get his ring? Like, this is one of the greatest offensive minds of our era. He really revolutionized the game in some ways, re-revolutionized the game. He is so good, but cannot get over the hump and get that ring, right? Going back to Atlanta as a coach, offensive coordinator there, 28-3. You hate to see it. And then obviously in San Francisco, they've been one of the best teams in the league under him. They've made the Super Bowl a couple times. How do you get over the hump? How do you get your ring? For me, I think the answer is pretty simple. I think you have to find a superstar quarterback. A lot easier said than done, right? And I like Brock Purdy. Like his moxie, his game, the accuracy he can throw the football with, the smarts that he brings to the table, the little bit of playmaking he has. But in my opinion, when you have a quarterback at that level, and of course he could still improve, young quarterback, they have to play almost perfect to beat a team like the Chiefs. And newsflash, it's really freaking hard to do that against the Kansas City Chiefs. They make it difficult for you to play perfect, right? I'd take Brock Purdy over Cousins, right? Any of the guys in that tier right now, I absolutely would. So I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that Brock Purdy's not a good quarterback. I know that's going to be debated till the end, this offseason now. It's going to be a frustrating conversation. Like, Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. He's smart. He's athletic enough to make plays. He's accurate enough. But is he going to beat a Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl? Probably not. Is anyone going to beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl? I mean, Brady did it, but that was on the back of a historic defense, a fantastic team overall, and Mahomes having zero help up front. And even with having zero help up front, he was getting the ball to these guys, and they weren't making the plays in that game. To me, this is Michael Jordan. This is Tiger Woods. Mahomes is the GOAT. He has not accomplished everything that Tom Brady or Joe Montana has accomplished yet, but he is 28 years old. 28. 28 years old. He already has 3 rings, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Like I said, 2 league MVPs. He is the best quarterback I've ever seen because, okay, you enter the league, right? You're a raw, unbelievably talented and athletic quarterback with just an incredible arm. Andy Reid gets you in his system, right? Chiefs go get him. Say we can upgrade from Alex Smith with this guy because, again, he is unbelievable with what he can do with his right arm and some of the playmaking ability that he has. If we can refine that, we can get a real steal here. And quite honestly, that's what he was in the draft. Even drafted in the first round, where he was drafted, he was an absolute steal for the Chiefs. And so they get him in their system. He doesn't have to start the first year, only plays a little bit, plays sparingly, right? And they develop him. And early on in his career, he was just out-athleting everyone on the field, with Tyreek Hill. They were just unstoppable. Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, in most situations. But he's now become like the master of his craft as well. So he has the killer right arm. He has the athleticism and the, just kind of magic that he brings to the football field. But now he also has the mastery to be able to in-game adjust and figure out how a defense is stopping us. And of course, Andy Reid helps with this and adjust and still win. And so to me, he is the GOAT. I think that he's going to prove that over the course of his career. 28 years old. And guess what? The Chiefs have $24 million in cap space. They have maneuverability with contracts, with Mahomes' contract. Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed, they're free agents. They aren't going anywhere. The Chiefs are going to bring those guys back. They have the cap space to do it. They have the maneuverability to do that and then also add on to what they have. And they keep drafting incredibly. No, they're not perfect in the draft. No one is. But some of the draft picks that they have made, after the first round and in the first round, over the last several years, I think they might be the best drafting team in the NFL right now. Kudos to their front office. Kudos to Andy Reid. Kudos to the greatest quarterback of all time, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. He's so awesome. He's not going anywhere either. Fired up about this football game. Fired up to be seeing greatness unfold before our very eyes in Patrick Mahomes. And, not fired up for the rest of the league. That's going to be one tough act to beat. 3 out of 5, 2 in a row. Who's going to stop him next year? I am not sure. I really am not. But really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.